story about Kevin. Kevin did more than just dream about being a hero. He worked extremely hard at it, and he visualized the day when the whole world would see him too. Kevin was a friend of mine, and if lifelong friends are like trees, he would be not like the trunk or the roots or anything like that. He was like the leaves. He'd come and go throughout all these years, and we would connect. So when he called me and showed up in my driveway, I didn't know exactly what he was up to. Told him a nice fancy car. I thought maybe he was there to sell something. But when he got out, he had a ball in his hand. Kevin always had a ball in his hand growing up. Never seen without a ball. So it was kind of just the way it used to be. He got out of his car and he approached me and threw me this ball. Took a look at it. He said, "You remember it?" I said, "Yeah. We were playing catch in your backyard." And the coach, neighbor next door, came over and handed us a brand new ball, clear in the box. He says, "Get in the car." He goes, "I got somebody I want you to meet." We lived at about 87th Street, and he drove us to 103rd to Brook Ridge Country Club. We got there, and at the first tee was a small group of folks, and one of them was Mickey Mantle. Mickey signed this ball. And he said, "I stole that ball from you in 1963. I looked at it. "You happen to have my Beatle wig also?" 1963 is a couple score ago. Then we started walking up the driveway, and like guys do sometimes, they stare in the back of a pickup for some odd reason, like there's something back there. But he was leaning over one side and I was leaning over the other. And stories and memories just flooded out. And he started talking about our life, what we knew of each other, how we played catch, played Little League. And then he said, "I'm going to tell you something that I haven't told anybody." He said, "I've always dreamed of being a hero." And he goes, "I've lived, I guess, a delusional life." He goes, "Because I've relived this story so many times, I thought it was real. I thought it was really happening to me." He goes, "Mark, as you know, I used to throw the ball against a wall if I didn't have anybody to play catch with. And I did that so I could get good at pitching. I had one little spot that I kept hitting over and over and over again. But if you remember, I also went out to the center of the garden and had these great big maple trees, 40, 50 feet tall. And I used to like to just throw the ball straight up in the air and catch it. People would even make fun of me. They thought I was just lived in my own little world. That's true, I did. But he said, I drew a pitcher's mound and measured off 60 feet 6 inches up that way. And he goes, that became my target. And over again, I'd throw the ball up in the air. And he goes, you know, I got pretty good at it. I got really close. And he says somewhere along the line, when I started really getting into baseball and the heroes that were playing the game, he said, I got this idea that I was that pitcher. World Series, just like the Royals, the heroes that came out of that. Because I was that pitcher. Last game of the World Series, 2 outs, and it was up to me to win or to lose. And he goes, a guy just like Mickey Mantle, probably a composite of all those, came up to bat, and he said he was the toughest hitter in all of baseball, better than all. He goes, I had to come up with a pitch. And he goes, I knew that my arm was getting a little tired, but I threw the first one. He was a right-handed hitter, and I threw a good hard fastball, and he whacked it clear out of the park. But it was foul. was on the right field side. He says, so I really dug into my quiver of pitches that I had available, and I threw a slow curveball, and he got around on it, knocked it clear out of the park, left field with that. So I didn't have anything else to do. I was out in the pitches, and I knew that guy was going to hit the ball out of the park, and I was going to not be an Eagle. So I pulled that pitch. He said, I looked up at the sky, looked at the catcher, and threw the ball straight up in the air. The audience went quiet. They didn't know what in the world had gotten into me. Thought I'd lost my mind. The ball went straight up and came down and hit the center of the plate. And the batter didn't know what to do. The umpire called it a strike. Is that a strike? Be debatable. He says, that's my delusion. And he goes, I carried it with me all my life. I looked at him and I said, you know, sometimes it's those illusions of greatness that give us the courage to get up and face and respond to life with courage. So what's wrong with that? He said, I don't know. He goes, I just needed to tell someone. And I said, you know, Kevin, one time, it was in the 80s, actually it was in 1980, after our high school reunion, you'd had a little too much to drink. Well, quite a bit too much. And I took you home, and I don't know if you remember this, but you told me about that time in Vietnam, Mekong Delta. Got his ball back. He caught it, looked at it, threw it back. I threw it back to him. And as I watched the Leaf drive away, I thought, that's the last time we're going to play catch.